For as long as humans have looked up at the night sky, we've had this nagging thought, is anyone out there looking back at us? It's probably one of the biggest questions we could ever ask.
And that one question, are we alone, that's what drives everything. It's why we build massive telescopes, why we send probes into deep space. It's the ultimate mystery we're all trying to solve.
So today, we're not just going to talk about theories. No, we're actually going on a journey. We're going to visit some of the most promising real-life planets that scientists have found, worlds that might, just might, hold the answer to that big question.
Okay, but before we blast off on this tour, we got to understand the rules of the game, right? What exactly are scientists looking for when they're hunting for another Earth out there in the cosmos?
So the biggest thing, the #1 rule, is something called the habitable zone. You've probably heard of it as the Goldilocks Zone. It's that sweet spot around a star where it's not too hot, not too cold, but just right for the single most important ingredient for life as we know it, liquid water.
It really boils down to a 3-part checklist. First, you need the right size, big enough to hang on to an atmosphere, which acts like a protective blanket. Second, you need the right temperature, meaning it's got to be in that habitable zone we just talked about. And third, you need the right kind of star, one that's stable and won't just fry everything before life has a chance to evolve over billions of years. If you can find a planet that ticks all 3 of those boxes, well, then you've got a serious contender. And our first candidate, it does just that.
All right, first stop on our cosmic tour. We're heading to a planet that made huge headlines when it was discovered, Kepler 452b.
It's got this great nickname, Earth's older, bigger cousin, and you're about to see exactly why. It's not quite a twin, but it's for sure in the family.
So let's break it down. You can see it's about 60% bigger than Earth, and it orbits a star that's a lot like our own sun. But here's the kicker. Look at the age. 6 billion years old. That means it has a 1.5 billion year head start on our own planet. Think about that for a second.
But, and this is a big but, here's the catch. It's 1,400 light-years away. To put that in perspective, with our current tech, it would take us something like 26 million years to get there. So, we won't be visiting anytime soon.
And that just leads to this totally mind-bending question, right? If life did start there with a 1.5 billion year head start on us, what would it look like today? Could it be way more advanced than we are? It's kind of humbling to think about.
Okay, so from a distant cousin, let's come a little closer to home. A lot closer, actually. Our next candidate is Proxima b, and it's literally our next-door neighbor in cosmic terms. It is the closest exoplanet to Earth ever found.
Yeah, that nickname, our next-door neighbor, is no joke. I mean, in the unbelievable vastness of space, this place is right on our doorstep.
I mean, look at that, just 4.2 light-years away. Now, that's still a crazy long trip for us, but it's close enough that we can dream about studying it with better telescopes, maybe even sending robotic probes there one day.
But there's a pretty major problem, and it has to do with its parent star. Proxima Centauri is a red dwarf, and it's a really angry one. It's known for throwing these massive, violent solar flares. We're talking deadly bursts of radiation that would just sterilize anything living on the surface.
So if there is life on Proxima b, it's got to be tough, really tough. Scientists think maybe it could survive deep underground or maybe under a thick global ocean, somewhere it can hide from its star's deadly tantrums.
Okay, get ready for this next one because it's a showstopper. We're not just visiting one planet. We're visiting an entire solar system that is, without a doubt, one of the most incredible discoveries in modern astronomy. I'm talking about the TRAPPIST-1 system. 7. Just let that number sink in. Finding even one Earth-sized planet in the right spot is a big deal. But finding 7 of them, all orbiting the same star, that was just unbelievable. It was like hitting the cosmic jackpot. And get this, 3 of those 7 planets are right in the habitable zone. The best bet is a world called TRAPPIST-1e. But what's really wild is how close they all are to each other. If you were standing on the surface of one, you could look up and see the other planets hanging in the sky like huge moons. Can you even imagine that?
All right, our next candidate is a real history maker. This is the planet that first proved that worlds like our own are actually out there. Meet Kepler 186f.
It's called Earth's first true twin for a reason. It was the very first planet we found that was about the same size as Earth and in its star's habitable zone. This was a huge moment for science.
Now, its star is a lot dimmer and redder than our sun, so the world itself would probably look incredibly alien and beautiful. Just try to picture it, a world under a permanent sunset with these red-orange skies. Scientists think plants there might have evolved to be dark red or even black, just to absorb as much of that faint light as possible.
Okay, time for our final stop on this tour. And this world might be a vision of something we all know and love: water. Let's talk about the potential water world, Kepler-62f.
Yeah, the potential here is just massive. This is one of our best candidates for a planet that's almost completely covered by a deep global ocean. The thinking is that because it's a bit bigger than Earth, it could hold on to a thick atmosphere that keeps it nice and warm, perfect for liquid water. If there's life there, it's almost certainly marine life, swimming in those vast oceans, maybe around some huge continents. So these worlds are all incredible, right? But at the end of the day, they're still just candidates. And that brings us right back to the ultimate question we started with. With all these amazing possibilities out there, what are the real chances for life?
This really breaks down how scientists think about it. Water is the starting point. If you got water, you've got a shot at simple stuff, like microbes. But if you add a nice, calm atmosphere to the mix, maybe you can get more complex life, like plants and animals. And if you have a stable star that gives that planet billions of years of peace and quiet, well, that's where you might get something truly evolved.
But, and this is maybe the most important takeaway of all, our entire search is based on what we know, based on life here on Earth. The truth is, life out there might not need Earth-like conditions at all. It could be stranger and tougher and way more adaptable than we can even imagine. And that's really why this search is so important. Every single one of these discoveries, every new planet we find, it's like a new lottery ticket for humanity. It's another reason to have hope, hope that Earth isn't the only cradle of life in this gigantic universe.
And that brings us full circle, right back to where we started. We've taken a quick tour of the cosmos, we've visited some of the most hopeful worlds we know of, and yet the question is still there. In fact, it's bigger and more exciting than ever. So I'll leave you with it. Are we alone?